All right, so welcome back here to ESEA Season 14 LAN Finals. We just had the chance to watch Monomaniac face off against Complexity. Complexity taking that series 2-0. So we had the time, we were talking about some different components while you were there at the Valve headquarters up in Seattle. We were kind of touching base on some of the different types of improvements that you were talking about. We had mentioned the Glock. We were also talking about movement. What were some of the other types of things that you saw that Valve probably could have helped be an addition to the game?
That there, I need to think a little more about it. But I think I have to talk about this. I think maps. They're doing maps a little more. They're doing new ones as well.
Okay.
That never been seen to the audience, which looked really good. But it was not even in alpha, so it was like
right. So
you could pretty much
stages.
see it, and it was pretty much it. And other cool things, but they were focusing much on the maps, and they had a guy that actually, it was pretty funny because that guy was doing the maps, he's from Norway, and that's pretty much the same language that we have. But the funny thing was that he'd been living in Sweden for 20 years, so he couldn't even speak Norwegian anymore, so he spoke actually Swedish, which was kind of weird in a way, but we talked to him, and we got good answers from different maps that we wanted to talk from. And he actually gave us some points like, yeah, do you need to fix this? And he actually had a bunch of points that we thought that needed to fix as well. Well, and that was example from, you remember Inferno Banana, and you go up like against the wall. One of the walls actually makes like a bug that you're actually stuck in the wall. He has fixed it directly. It was like fixed.
Done.
Because he didn't even know, because the new one that's using on matchmaking, it's already fixed. But he didn't know it was still existing in a SC map.
I'm going to go ahead and state this now, not to change tunes real fast, but make sure you tweet out. You can send hashtag ESEA LAN to myself at consider_done or to get right. And that way we can sit there and continue our conversation here. We can answer any questions that you have out there.
Yeah.
We'll continue along with our conversation here. Again, you were talking about maps. What were some of the we hadn't really discussed this yet, but what are some of the things that they look at whenever they're creating a map? Is there certain elements that, like, for instance, a bomb site needs to have 3 entry points, or they want to make sure that all of the map is being used, or are there any of those types of things that they look at, or is it they just go at it trying to figure out what would be the best even map?
They're just trying to figure out where you can pretty much add a new way to walk into the site. They're looking into actually old maps that are really good to see if it's need a fix pretty much. But I don't think it's gonna come anytime soon. I don't think people should be worried to like screw up Dust 2, for example. I don't think they're gonna do that, but because they think that Dust 2 is a really good map, for example.
Well, let's kind of talk about that. So there has been minor tweaks that have been done to some of these maps. Inferno, there's been a tweak.
Yeah.
If you haven't had the chance to play on the matchmaking side, have you actually seen that the bench inside of middle has been pushed up against the wall?
The car is removed.
The car is removed. How do those different elements come in? And as we move further down into the competitive side, do you think these maps are going to start to get picked up?
I think so, actually. I think that those, for example, Inferno map, the matchmaking one, is actually much better than the SC one.
I agree.
Because the car, for example, in my opinion and my team opinion, is that car is bugged. Like, it's hard.
Talking about the car inside of mid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like when you're shooting at it, it feels like you're headshotting or actually hitting someone. But when you're watching the Go Div or something, you're not even hitting the guy.
Yeah.
And it's not an invisible wall, but it feels like something isn't correct in it.
You're clipping somewhere.
Exactly.
So
I like the idea when they're doing like a wall thing instead. You're doing like a small, I don't know, area you can go into, and you can see the guy much better. It's not fading into the wall either, so it's actually much better. And the hallways, when you're like seating and you're picking apps, for example, is much better. It's like bigger, and it's
bigger,
like,
yep.
The only thing I was concerned is like a small ledge or something that's inside of the house. It's like sticking out.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either.
I didn't like it, but I told him I didn't like it either, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna look into that more. Yeah, I don't know really. It was like, it was other things. It was actually talking that it was someone was actually tweeting me right now. Any words about the matchmaking server? Will 120 tick be available sometime in the future?
That's definitely a great
they
question.
They actually answered on that, and I think the answer was really good because they came back to people, their computers, and saying like, and they were actually showing us how many players are using good computers. That number is scary to see. It's not even many.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, it was ridiculous. They were actually counting out. It was like, I'm not gonna figure or say something. I don't know because I don't remember exact the whole thing. But it was like from 0 to 30 FPS was like 60% of players.
That's insane.
It was like a ridiculous amount. I don't know if it actually was that, so don't take it in count exactly what I'm saying. But it was
everybody
like
write down everything. These are direct facts. No,
I wasn't, but it was something similar. It was like ridiculous high as well.
Right.
And they was answering like, when they're using 128 tick, for example, your computer is not even responding well to it. So
right.
that's why one of the reasons they have in 64 still. And I think that's a solid reason because there's still so many people. They were saying the most people playing matchmaking are those players.
You brought up, you're bringing it back. They've been giving you explanations directly since you had the chance to go there to the Valve headquarters. Let's talk about the Deagle. You had mentioned one of their responses to why they're doing what they're doing. Can you go in depth on that one?
With the Deagle one?
I'll talk about the Deagle with the one shot compared to the AWP.
Yeah, they were saying pretty much. I think it was like that at least. They were saying. I mean, I don't want to say something that's wrong.
Not directly. You know? It's all paraphrased.
I mean, because there was so many things, and I was like taking what I think was the best, you know. And that's the Deagle will well know them, but you know, I think it was like this at least. They were saying like they compare it to AWP. Like AWP kills one guy with one bullet pretty much if you don't leg him pretty much.
Right.
And Desert Eagle in
previous
Source
versions
and 1.6 like
more so in Source. Yeah, more so in Source.
You can run around and one bullet people.
Yep.
And it's more fixable. You can run and you can kill people pretty much with one bullet. And
right.
so they compared the AWP and Desert Eagle to be pretty much the same gun but at lower cost.
Right.
And they were saying that it's needed to be nerfed in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can still having the feeling that you one bullet one guy, but you knew you had to master it more instead of being decent with it.
Right. I think one of the downfalls, and this is not, you know, going back and forth between you and I or even to Valve, just my own personal opinion. I mean, whenever you're sticking there with the Deagle, you're now stuck to having zero movement. You have to make sure you're almost sitting still to be able to make that shot. And then the other side to it is that first shot has to hit because I'm going to tell you right now, your second one's not going to go where you think it's going to go, even if you wait long enough. For those of you that don't do it, which is pretty majority of our community out there on the competitive side, is if you use the crosshair that Valve provides and you watch the Deagle and you sit still, it'll be perfectly holding its position, and then you shoot, it takes forever for that to be able to collapse back down to its regular spot. So we got some questions here right now as well. It says, do you think the new Mirage will replace the old Mirage? That's a good question for especially European scene.
I need to figure out how to say it correctly, like, because I know what the other pro players are thinking about it, and what my team and myself think. We want it to be replaced.
You want it to be replaced, really?
By a new one, because it's.
That's interesting.
It's a new map in a way. It's still the same ways how you go in entrance, but they build up new things that's good to a map. What I think, at least, like the boost window has a harder time to get into it.
Yes.
Actually feels much better instead of you can stay on the box and just wait there, waiting for the guy come from the catwalk, for example. And like how you entrance the B is much better, like protected for the T.
Agreed with that too.
And the sight on B is much better if you ask me, like how.
B is really good. I like B, but A bomb sight.
I like A bomb sight how it is right now. I can understand people where you don't like it, but I like the thing that it's more wide open. There's not so many places you can really hide. You can hide, but the problem is like you cannot really get a good angle on it. That's the thing. And that's why I like about it somehow, because I'm a sneaky player.
You are a sneaky player. You love to lurk. Yes.
Exactly. And I love this places where it's small and tiny in a way. I can just hide there and no one will ever find me in a way.
Right.
But I like the thing when it's kind of wide open. I don't know why. And I love the texture about the map. I like its colorful instead of like dark.
I do like, yep.
And I like that people are forced to use new nades as well.
Inside of window, I like the backdrop that it has. It really does the difference between the foreground and the background is huge. You can really see the player peeking out. I think that's a good component. The one thing I'll have to ask you about, though, is the steps that are inside of the A-bomb site, which used to be the electrical box. That. You like that?
I like that.
All right.
I know what you mean in that you wanted to only show your head, for example, instead of your whole body when you're running up there. I think it's much better, maybe because I got owned every time when I'm showing my head.
You go apartments a lot?
No, I just got owned by that.
You just
No,
get
I
owned
mean
by
when
that
I'm
slot.
CT, you know, when
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
standing
yeah,
there,
yeah.
I get shot every time and dies. That's why I like adding stairs instead.
Well, it
So
does change the variation where your head level could be.
Exactly.
Yep, that's true. I didn't. I thought about it from one side, not the other.
I
So
mean, I got killed as well as when I was T, so it doesn't really matter in a way because I got owned in both ways. But I like it when you're a CT and you're running up instead of like jumping, and then you're standing up and you
Right.
got one bullet, and you're like, oh, great spot. You're saying to yourself.
It does change a pretty good head level, and you can actually run up those stairs quickly and check
And
down
you can actually
towards
strafe
a
out a little
ramp.
more and even be invincible from the slope.
That's
So
it.
it's more of like it's this really small area you can like strafe to, but still it's an area you can actually be flexible. You can know what you can do, you know.
It's interesting to me is that the community is so built on we need change to happen, but really it's not that we need change, it's that they want to go back, because now that we have Mirage and it's kind of the new instance, having the new Mirage come out, we don't want change for that. So if it's something that's not familiar, then we don't want it. I mean, that's what I've been gathering from the community, and this is something that we reference that kind of put words in your mouth on. Is it's better to say what are we going to do to add to the game instead of saying, hey, how does this compare to 1.6 or Source? I have another question on here. It says, does Valve need to change the _SE versions of the maps or some map makers? So basically, are we going to see? You can answer this if you want to or not. I'm just going to put it out there. Do we think that we're going to start to see some SE versions kind of go away? Because right now we've got duplicates of everything in different variations, and all it is a fog difference.
Yeah.
So that's something to really think about. It probably would be helpful later on if that did happen.
I would prefer they to remove the SC maps.
Yeah.
Because I think it's unnecessary when public people are going to a new game. I mean, I'm talking about the players who haven't played CS before. They played Call of Duty, Battlefield, whatever more. And they're going and playing the game, then starting to love, like I did in the beginning when I started playing CS. And when they're like, yeah, I want to play some serious games. But it's only SC maps, and there's like different. Of course,
it's completely
like,
different.
There's no chickens, there's no fogs. I mean, I love the chickens. So
me too.
I actually told Valve about it, like, can you not add more? And they were like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I'm serious. And they laughed and they said
I
actually,
like chickens.
Some of them was like, yeah, we want more chickens, and it just left around. But it's probably not going to happen. But
at least I hopefully they don't remove them. That would be upsetting for me, is if they decided to remove the chickens. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and bring up another question. Asking you about if Valve is browsing community sites like HLTV or any of the other websites out there, do they mention that they're actually paying attention to those types of things, or are they more looking at the Steam forum side?
I can answer that they read everything.
They read everything.
They are more aware about things that you think. They are reading those comments that are bad, and the positive ones as well. They're reading everything. They are actually taking up things that I remember, like for a second, like I read that comment or that, you know. They actually mentioned those comments that I would think that they would never see. I've seen those whereas like answering so many things that people haven't really got an answer on, but they're like, yeah, there was like what Lurper said there, and then I remember that, and there was like one guy there
paying attention to Lurpus, to Tommy.
I like Tommy, and I know how he's expressing himself, but I told him as well he's a negative guy in some areas, but I understand his point of views in that ways, but I'm always going to take his side because he's a friend of mine, in a way.
Yeah, well, I like Tommy. As a personality, he's great. His opinions are they get heated at times.
I see that Star Scott's saying breaking news. SSN friend to get us a god and Valve to add more chickens to CSGO. I think that's a good one. I'm gonna favorite that one because of that. I don't know.
All right,
it was just a fun joke, but I want to take up one more thing before you kick me out of it. I guess you want to.
No, we can keep talking about anything. There's one thing I do want to talk about afterwards, but you go ahead.
There was one saying like Sean Antman. He was asking me, how does the ESEA LAN rank with all other international tournaments?
Yeah.
And that's actually a hard question to answer, but I think it's really good to say something about it. My personal opinion is that I rank it pretty high because there's so few events in America. And for me, it feels like an international tournament. Of course, we're from Europe. It makes an international tournament just because we're here.
Right.
Doesn't matter how few and how many there are, but I consider it high because this is the best what America can have.
I think one of the things, so I've been a part of a bunch of different events still. I still do MLGs. I still attend a bunch of other variety of events at the same token. I think the thing about ESEA is it's purely competitive. I mean, it's not about this spectator base that's here, this audience that's here. It's purely competitive. It's about the players. It's making sure everything's set up for them. They make sure that they put different types of blocking areas where they can't see each other. They communicate with them. They work with them on all the different items. So I think that's what I like about it, is that it's purely competitive. Yeah. One of the things that I want to talk about, you at any point you can interject with any comments. But what is the goals for the esports case? What are they trying to plan on doing with that? Because I know they say that it's esports case. Can you go into depth on that, or do you want me to go down that path?
I think we can start with what you think.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've seen is, so for those of you that haven't played the update yet, you can actually acquire these different cases, a CS:GO case, a esports case, but the only way that you can open up these cases is by a key, and so. For the esports case, you'd have to buy an esports key to open that up. Typically, it's $2.50.
Yeah, something like that.
And then from there, a percentage of that goes into a fund, or it goes into a pot. So that way, later on, it'll get pushed into an event. I believe this first one is actually going to go to DreamHack winner. There's all those different types of funds will be flooding in there. So that's going to be good. I think it helps the community a lot.
I think it's a really good thing to do, and I think that games are forced into that corner in a way to actually ask the community to see actually how much they're supporting their games.
Right.
And I think Valve is doing a great job. For example, they do that to International, and that's just showing how much love they have for their game. I have nothing against that game if someone wants to ask me about that, but I think it's something cool. I think it's cool to have your own skins. I'm just waiting for my aesthetics ones.
I want a bunch of stat track ones.
Just sitting here.
My bad. I apologize. You could be grinding right now.
I know, but I'm not gonna do that anyway. I'm gonna talk with everyone here.
Yeah.
I'm the social guy, you know.
You are the social guy.
But like, I really love the idea with having those cases, especially the esports ones, because it affects everyone. Every tournament that is out there, they're gonna help everyone's. I mean, of course, can always have something behind, maybe rules or whatever.
Right, regulations, blah, blah, blah.
That thing, but in the long run, actually, it's going to help the whole community in a way, because then you're going to see those big teams that you're looking for. You're going to see that tournaments you always wanted to be in that's going to be played in.
Right.
It's going to open up more areas that we haven't seen before, and I think that's really needed for the community to step up in a way, because I've been playing CS for so many years, 10+ years.
That's where I'm at.
I'm 23.
I'm about 13 years now.
I think it was first time when it came out in '99.
Yep,
I was 9 years old when I played the game. So that's pretty much 14 years.
I was 12.
See, we're the ones. I mean, I'm 23. I mean, everyone's saying I'm the new schooler, but I don't think I'm a new schooler.
You're not a new schooler at all.
I'm always saying I've been playing this for this long, and then it's like, oh, you're old school. I was like, yeah, I've seen all the games. I've seen the great ones. I've seen SK Gaming winning the 2003 CPL summer event or winter event, for example.
Oh man! All right. I apologize. I'm gonna have to kick you out of here. But your matchup is going to be coming up here later today. It's going to be Curse.
Oh yeah.
Curse versus NiP. We'll see that coming up on the stream. But right now, we're going to go ahead and hop into the first matchup of Complexity and Frost Gaming. It's going to be a high-energy game. Be on the lookout for that. They're right next to each other here in the tournament. They do have a divider between them, but they're right next to each other. So let's go ahead and send it back over to Dustin and Holden. Appreciate it. Get right. Let's hop back over to you guys.